Okay, class 9. So today we will be doing the question answers of this chapter, the motions of the earth. Okay. So the first question that we have to do from this chapter, that is the difference between axis and orbit. So this over here the difference has got 3 points only. So we will be writing all the 3 points. So the first question from this chapter is difference between axis and orbit. Now the next question is give a brief account of the rotation of the earth and the inclination of its axis. I repeat, give a brief account of the rotation of the earth and the inclination of its axis. Okay. So for this answer, the whole paragraph we have to write. That is, rotation is the daily motion or movement of the earth on its axis once in 24 hours or one day. The axis of the earth is tilted or inclined at an angle of 66.5 degree from the plane of orbit and 23.5 degree from the perpendicular of the plane of the orbit. Its inclination is in the direction towards the pole star during the process of revolution. This tilt of the axis is also known as inclination of the earth's axis. Now, the next question from this chapter is, what do you mean by circle of illumination? What do you mean by circle of illumination? So we will start the answer from here. The circle of illumination, and we will cut the word it. We will omit the word it. So our answer is continuing like this. The circle of illumination is an imaginary line that demarcates the lighted portion or day of the earth from the darkness. As the axis is inclined, the duration of day and night varies in both the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere. Okay. So our answer is up to southern hemisphere. Now the next question, what is meant by sidereal day? What is meant by sidereal day? Okay. So we are starting the answer from here, that is, to complete one rotation the earth actually takes 23 hours 56 minutes and 4 seconds, which is called a sidereal day. The duration taken by the sun to return to the same point in the sky is called a solar day. As the earth is orbiting the sun, there is a difference of 4 minutes between the sidereal day and the solar day. So up to this much we will write for this answer. Now the next question, give reason. Give reason. The speed of rotation decreases from the equator towards the poles. Give reason. Then the statement is, the speed of rotation decreases from the equator towards the poles. Okay. So our answer is, to cover a distance of 40,000 km, the earth takes 24 hours. Hence, the speed of rotation at the equator is 1674 km. The speed of rotation decreases from the equator to the poles as the earth is spherical in shape and the length of the latitudes decrease from the equator to the poles. So up to this much if we write, that will be sufficient for us. Okay. Now the next question, discuss the important effects of the rotation of the earth. Discuss the important effects of the rotation of the earth. Okay. So we will not write all the points, we will write some of the points. The first one obviously we have to write, it creates a diurnal cycle of light and darkness causing day and night. Next one also we will write, It is responsible for the temperature and humidity changes. And we will write this one. It causes tides. Tides are the rise and fall of the sea level twice daily. It is a result of the impact of gravity of both the moon and the sun. The tides are the highest when the earth, sun and moon are in a straight line. So we'll write these 3 points. Okay, not all of them. Now we will move on to revolution from rotation, and over here our first question will be, what is a leap year? I repeat, what is a leap year? So we are starting the answer from here. It takes 365 days and 6 hours to complete one revolution, which is equal to 1 year. For our convenience, we do not take into account these 6 hours and we consider only 365 days. Every 4 years, 1 day is added to the year, taking into consideration the 6 hours. This 4th year is called a leap year. In a leap year, 1 day is added to the month of February, which usually has 28 days. In a leap year, the month of February has 29 days. So we are ending the answer over here. Now let us move on to the next question, that is, okay, so the next question is, discuss the main reasons for the change of seasons. Discuss the main reasons for the change of seasons. So we will only write these 2 points, that is the revolution of the earth around the sun, the inclination of the earth's axis. Okay. Now we will write about the summer solstice. Okay. So let's see how much we can make it short. So we are starting writing it from here. Okay, we'll start writing it from here only. The northern hemisphere receives direct rays of the sun, and it is tilted towards the sun. The maximum heat reception by the northern hemisphere is during this period. That is, during this period, instead of writing during this period, you will be writing is during the summer season. So instead of writing during this period, you are going to write during the summer season. So the first point is like this. The northern hemisphere receives direct rays of the sun as it is tilted towards the sun. The maximum heat reception by the northern hemisphere is during the summer season. Now point number 2, the sun is directly over the Tropic of Cancer, that is 23.5 degree north, on 21st June. This is called summer solstice. The summer solstice is characterized by longer days and shorter nights over the northern hemisphere. The northern hemisphere, and the third point also we will write, the northern hemisphere experiences summer while the southern hemisphere experiences winter. But here, as they have written, the summer solstice is characterized by longer days and shorter nights, but they haven't mentioned the duration, but we will mention the duration. Okay. So in bracket, after longer days, in bracket you have to write 14 hours, and after shorter nights, in bracket you have to write 10 hours. Okay, that you have to write. Please write it down in bracket. After longer days you have to write in bracket 14 hours. After shorter nights you have to write 10 hours in bracket. Now I am moving on to the next question, that is we will be writing about the winter solstice, that is give a brief account of the winter solstice. Okay, so our answer is beginning from here. This point. The southern hemisphere receives direct rays of the sun, whereas the northern hemisphere receives the inclined rays of the sun. Point number 2. The sun is directly over the Tropic of Capricorn, that is 22.5 degrees south on 22nd December. On this day, there is maximum heat and light reception by the southern hemisphere. This position is called winter solstice. The days are longer and the nights are shorter over the southern hemisphere, and the opposite happens in the northern hemisphere. The southern hemisphere experiences summer while the northern hemisphere experiences winter. Okay, so here also we have to add something, that is in the first point the southern hemisphere receives direct rays of the sun, whereas the northern hemisphere receives the inclined rays of the sun. Okay, during during the month of December, that we have to add, that is during the month of December. And here again they have not mentioned the duration of the day part and night part, that we have to add. The days are longer, that is 14 hours, and nights are shorter, that is 10 hours in bracket we have to write. Now the next question that we have to write, that is what do you know about autumnal equinox? What do you know about autumnal equinox? So all the 3 points we have to write. Okay, that is there is an apparent movement of the sun towards the equator 21st June onwards. First point. Second point, on 23rd September the sun is vertically over the equator and the position is called autumnal equinox. All the places on the surface of the earth have equal days and nights. In bracket we will write 12 hours each. Okay, and the third point is the north and the south poles are neither inclined towards nor away from the sun. Now the next question is give a brief account of the spring equinox. Again we have to write all the points for this answer also. 22nd December onwards the apparent movement of the sun is towards the north. On 21st March the sun is once again vertical over the equator. All the places have equal days and nights. Again like the previous answer, in bracket 12 hours each. Third point, the north and south poles are neither inclined towards the equator nor away from it. And the last point, this position is termed as spring or vernal equinox. The northern hemisphere has spring and there is autumn over the southern hemisphere. Okay children, I will suggest that you have to practice this diagram thoroughly. Okay, please practice this diagram with proper leveling. Now let's see whether some more questions are there from this chapter or not. Yes, we have to write about the perihelion and the aphelion. The Earth's orbit is what is meant by, the question is what is meant by perihelion and aphelion positions, or rather what is meant by perihelion and aphelion, only this much. Okay, write it like this: what is meant by perihelion and aphelion? So the answer is the Earth's orbit is elliptical in shape. The sun does not lie exactly at the center of the ellipse. So the distance between Earth and sun varies during Earth's revolution. The point closest to the sun on the Earth's orbital path is called perihelion. The distance between sun and the earth during this position is about 148 million kilometer on 3rd January. Peri means near, helion means sun, that need not have to write. Then come to the next part, that is the point farthest from the sun is called aphelion. The distance between sun and earth is about 152 million kilometer on 4th July. So this is the answer of aphelion and perihelion. Now the next question is, compare both the motions of the earth. Compare both the motions of the earth. Okay, so here you have got a comparison or difference of rotation and revolution in your textbook that you have to write. Okay, now the next question is, distinguish between summer solstice and winter solstice. Distinguish between summer solstice and winter solstice. Okay, so for this answer there are 4 points, you can learn any 3. For these answer also there are 4 points, you can learn any 3. Okay, more than 3 points are not required. Now the next question, why Norway is known as the land of midnight sun? Why Norway is known as the land of midnight sun? Now we have to write like this. At the Arctics, the sun is visible even at midnight during the summer season, hence it is called midnight sun. During this period from 21st March to 23rd September, the northern hemisphere is tilted towards the sun. At this time, the region around the North Pole experiences 24 hours of daylight. The length of daylight decreases south of the Arctic Circle. Northern Scandinavia is often called land of midnight sun. Okay. So along, after writing up to this much, we have to add 2 more sentences, that is, in northern Norway, the sun never sets during the summer months. The midnight sun can be experienced north of the Arctic Circle for a period lasting from a single day to 5 months. Okay, so this is all about this answer. Now the next one is, define, or this is the last question of this chapter, define dawn, dusk and twilight. Okay, define dawn, dusk and twilight. So the first one is, dawn is a period just before the sunrise when a faint light is visible in the sky. Dusk is the period after sunset. Then the third one, the term twilight is designated for both the period between dawn and sunrise as well as sunset and dusk. It is the diffused light that is visible due to the sunlight scattering in the atmosphere. So here we are ending the chapter with all the question answers. I suppose you won't have any problem in learning the question answers, but please write it down somewhere. Okay, and prepare yourself. In our next class, we will start a new chapter, because whatever chapters I have taught, I suppose I have provided the question answers for all the chapters. So please be prepared. Okay. In our next class, I will be starting a new chapter. Thank you.